Hey, it's Matt with Doug Andrews Distributing again. So we just talked about the optimized idle in the Freightliner Cascadia. Now we're going to be talking about a similar system in our Peterbilt 579s. This system's called the AutoStart system. Not every one of our Peterbilts has it. Generally, it's our newer trucks, anything we got from last year on. So if your truck doesn't have it, don't be alarmed. Some have it, some don't. But we're going to go through it today and we're going to talk about what it does. So basically, it operates quite a bit like the optimized idle in the Freightliner Cascadia. It's watching certain things to idle only when absolutely necessary. This auto start system is looking at 4 different things. So it's looking at your battery and its state of charge. It's looking at the oil temperature. One thing that it's looking at that the optimized idle doesn't look at is the fuel temperature. And then also you can do interior temperature. And we'll go over how those different modes are set up here in just a sec. So like the optimized idle, it's a system to allow you to be comfortable and have your truck run without having to idle it constantly. With the auto start system, when it goes into that battery mode, if your battery gets low, it's going to automatically start the truck to charge the battery up. And in this truck, it's going to run for 3 hours to charge up that battery, whereas in the Freightliner Cascadia, it was only 2 hours. We're going to show you how to set this up. The first thing we're going to talk about is how to turn it on and what the truck is looking for to make sure that the system can run. In the Freightliner, there were 3 things. In the Peterbilt, they went a little farther, and they actually have 13 different things that the truck automatically checks to make sure that all the parameters are set correctly so that the auto start system can run. So I'll quickly run down those 13 things, then we'll move on to how the system actually is set. So the first thing in the safety check is that there can't be a check engine light or malfunction indicator light. The second thing, the ignition must be in the off position or no key in the ignition at all. That's one way that this is different than the Freightliner. The Freightliner, you had to have the key in the on position. The cab HVAC controls need to be in the auto mode. The fifth thing is the cab HVAC controls sleeper HVAC override button has been turned on. So that's, again, the override button here on the cab HVAC controls. The auto start system's dash switch has to be enabled, so you have to actually turn it on. If our trucks had a power takeoff, which they don't, it would have to be disabled. The tractor parking brake has to be applied. Transmission must be in neutral. You can't touch the foot brake or the clutch if you have a manual transmission. Both doors, the driver and the passenger door, have to be closed, and then the hood must be closed. So those are all 13 things that the truck automatically checks for when you turn on the auto start system. And so now we're going to actually go ahead and start the auto start system. So again, keys in the off position. We're going to come over here to the dash. So it's this switch here. It says auto with a picture of an engine. So this is a 3-part rocker switch. So right now we're in the off position. 1 click is just a neutral position. And then if you push it up one more time, you want to hold it for 3 seconds. And then let go. Now the auto start system is on. So now that it's on, it's doing the safety checks that we talked about. So right now it says checking auto interlocks, and then now it says auto start enabled. And so now it'll just sit here until you set something that moves the parameters so that the truck will actually have to start. So right now, if you do nothing else, all it's watching is the battery, the fuel temp, and the oil temp. And if any of those go below a certain threshold, again, for the battery, 12 volts, for the oil temperature, 60 degrees, those are the 2 main ones that it's looking for. Or we can go ahead and set the interior temperature. So this auto start system works a little bit different than the Freightliner Cascadia. The Freightliner Cascadia, the bunk heater is separate from the optimized idle. In this, the bunk heater and the auto start are tied together. So what you have is a control panel that you can set the temperature. So we're going to go ahead and go in the bunk. All right, so we're here back in the bunk of the Peterbilt, and we're going over the auto start system, and this part is for your interior comfort. So this is where you're going to set your bunk heater and set the temperature for what you're comfortable for. So there's 4 buttons here. So the power button, turn it on. So you can see right now it's in the cool setting. So it's going to try and get AC to cool it to, right now it's set to 74 degrees. So if you want to change that, you hit this selection arrow once, and you can change between cool, heat, or auto. I usually leave it on auto. You can also change it between Fahrenheit and Celsius, or you can come back here. So this is A for automatic, and then this is the temperature you've set. Plus and minus, or hotter and colder. So say you want to set it for 70 degrees, that's where you're comfortable. So what it's going to do, if it requires heat, it's going to turn on your bunk heater first to try and get the interior temperature to the temperature you have set. If for some reason it can't get to 70 degrees with just the bunk heater, then your truck will start, and then it will use the engine heat to try and get up to the temperature that you're comfortable with. Always make sure when you have this set, if you're going for heat, have your bunk HVAC controls set for heat and that your fan speed's up fairly high, and that's all you have to do to keep it set. So right now, because we're in here, it's probably right about 70 degrees, the truck's not going to start. If we turned it down to be way cooler, you can hear the truck just came alive and it's going to start. And because we selected cooler, you want to switch your bunk controls to AC, cool, and then have your fan speed up. Okay, so it started, and now it's going to try and get the interior temperature to be 60 degrees. And if you want to turn this off at any time, you just hit the power button, it'll turn it off. That'll turn the truck off, but the auto start system will still be on until you either turn the key on, open one of the doors, or open the hood. Any of those safety interlocks, as soon as they're not in place, the auto start system turns off. The main way to turn off the auto start system is right here at the switch. You can just turn it off, and then the auto start system's off.